I have a cough, by the way, if you can't tell. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Nathan, and this is my fourth time recording this. Each time, my dogs have walked into my tripod, so I really hope that this time they don't. But, that's not why I'm recording this a fourth time. It's just because I yap so much that, there are some things that in this video I have covered in my previous tries trying to record this, but maybe not this time. So anyways, I hope you all had a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate, and cheers to hopefully a good new year. Why is my dog about to go in my closet? We already know you're gay. You can stay out of the closet. Today's video is about what happened to feminism. This is not going to be a deep dive. This is just going to be a collection of my opinions on the subject. Okay, so if you're looking for a deep dive with the history of feminism, this is not that. I'm just going to be honest. This is not that right now. But I am going to be talking about why I think feminism has changed. Why I think the ways that it's changed have kind of been a bad thing. But just before you leave any comments, just please let me explain, what I think. So I'm making this video because there have been so many topics on my channel that I want to cover, but I didn't cover them, and then I would regret it, and then it's no longer relevant. And so I feel like feminism is always relevant. Everyone wants to talk about it, why they hate it, why they love it. I feel like it's one of those things where it can always become relevant. First, I'm going to start off defining feminism. This is not my own definition. This is whatever shows up on Google. I know Google tends to use either the Oxford Dictionary or the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. I don't know which one they used for this one, but it just said the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of sexes. So basically that means to be a feminist, not only do you believe that men and women should be treated equally and given equal opportunities, but it also means that you acknowledge that in the current society, men are being treated better than women just because they are men. If you're someone like me who's been a feminist for as long as they knew of the word, you're probably surprised to hear people say that yeah, I believe men and women should be treated equal, but I'm not a feminist. So that always confused me. I would be what do you mean? That is feminism. But I guess the part that I was missing this whole time was that, you have to acknowledge that men are being treated better than women. So I guess for the people that say, yeah, I believe in equal rights, but I'm not a feminist, that's basically them saying, well, we already have equal rights and men aren't being treated better than women. And I just think that's not true. There's a lot of instances of men being treated better than women, and there's one specific instance I'm going to bring up because I think that's very, very relevant. Even if people thought that them calling themselves a feminist just meant equal rights, but they still don't want to call themselves feminist, then I think it's more about the connotations that feminism have taken over the past probably 9 years or something. Why is my dog whining? I don't even know where he is. I think he's under my bed. Did he get stuck? Perry, where are you? He is stuck. You did that to yourself. Why are you going under my bed? So there was BuzzFeed that always makes feminism intentionally a controversial topic when really it shouldn't be. There were videos women try manspreading for a week or a day, something like that. I think it would be interesting to see how people would react if women actually manspreaded the way that men did. However, there are instances you can see where someone is manspreading way more than they have to be. Bro, you have 2 eggs and half a banana. There's not much down there. So it's not men have to manspread that much, but the women in this video did it kind of to be funny, but also to get views. A lot of people from BuzzFeed have since, said yeah, it was kind of a competition to see how woke we could be to get clicks and stuff.
However, when meeting viewership quota became more and more important, video producers were incentivized to make more content in this area simply because they knew it would get more views. This is how, in my opinion, you got content like women try manspreading for a week.
I think that really hurt feminism because feminism shouldn't be this huge controversial thing. But overall, I think feminism has become to mean man hater or people who think men deserve to die or people who think women are just better at men than everything. And sure, you will find feminists who say those things, but guess what? That's not the entire feminist community. There's a large population of feminists that you can't group them all together. And it's the same with other groups of people who have some ideas together. One example I can give for you are Christians. There are some Christians that will be like, okay, yep, I am helping the homeless right now. I foster some kids. I volunteer at my local animal shelter, and I pray for the sick, and I donate money to charities regularly. There are those Christians, which are good. But then there are also other Christians that take whatever version of the Bible they read. Then they're like, oh, you know what I'm going to do as a Christian? I'm going to protest outside of concerts and call teenage girls sluts because they're wearing tank tops. You know, if you haven't gone to a concert in the last few years, especially in California, you may not know what I'm talking about. Someone close to me, they went to a concert and there were protesters outside of it and literally called them and who they were with either a whore or a slut. I don't care which word they use because both words are disgusting to use towards a teenage girl. Those are two different sides of Christians. Does that mean that all Christians are the ones protesting? No. Does that mean that every Christian, fosters kids when they can and donates to charity? No. There are the Instagram Christians that do none of those things. So there's different types of Christians. Does that mean we should group them all together? No, not at all. Same with feminists. There are some feminists that are just like, hey, women, we still have to fight for women's rights. Then there are other feminists that think we should kill all men. And not all feminists are good, but guess what? Feminism at its core is for advocating for women's rights so that they can get equality, because it shouldn't matter someone's gender or someone's anything about who they are, because the thing is, you don't choose. I never chose to be gay. I never chose to be only 5'4". Should I be judged off the things that I didn't choose? No, I should not be, because I didn't choose them. I think an ideal that our country, the United States, has that I don't think it fulfills, but I think is an ideal, is that you put in this amount of effort and then you get this much out of it. And that doesn't happen. Elon Musk, he put some amount of effort in, but did he found Tesla himself? No. Is he an engineer at SpaceX? No. But he's the richest to come out of both of those companies. He didn't put as much effort as the other people there, yet he's being paid more than them. That's an example of our meritocracy not working. But if we want to believe at least a little bit that people, get paid what they're worth, well then let the women compete with men. Women have had to work so much harder just to get where men have in our country that it's like maybe once we give them an opportunity, the men are scared that the women are going to be better than them because they've had to be better than men this whole time. Some of us have just had to sit around and do nothing. I think some men even recognize that in some instances, if they had to compete against a woman for a job opportunity, that they would lose because they don't work that hard. At least if we want to kind of be delusional in the fact that a meritocracy does exist in this country, at least we should make it not based on gender, I was about to move on and then I looked at my notes. Then there was something else about equal opportunity I wanted to talk about, which is that equal opportunity does not need to mean equal outcome. That just doesn't, need to happen. Because guess what? Women and men, a lot of the things they can do about the same. And I actually saw this recently that
California State Senate Republicans will be majority women this year.
Guess what? That's what happens when you let women compete. I'm not a Republican. I don't care whatever the Republicans in California have to say right now because I'm too busy being happy. And, there are certain things where people bring up oh, men can't give birth. Does that mean we should hire male surrogates, though, if you're talking about feminism? No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about, a lawyer, a teacher, a doctor, a nurse. It doesn't, for so many jobs, gender really doesn't matter. But people always want to bring it to, extreme cases where it's yeah, I would not hire a man to do that. Or, no, I would not hire a woman to do that. Just think about it. Do you want a male OBGYN if you're a woman? Some women are okay with that. Some aren't. But again, those are very fringe cases where the actual majority of jobs out there, the gender really doesn't matter. But the main instance of inequality I wanted to talk about, at least in the US, is how women and men are portrayed in the media. Because women out there in pop culture, they've almost always talked about this and they're never taken seriously. There's slut and there's whore. There is man whore and man slut. Because by default, if you just say slut, most people think of a woman. If you say whore, most people think of a woman. And that's because of just how women and men are being seen as differently, where you have to specify man whore or man slut when, if you're just talking about sleeping around, the gender really shouldn't matter. And even just for doing almost nothing, you can still be called a slut or a whore as a woman. With the example I gave earlier, teenage girl walking into a concert wearing a tank top, showing her shoulders, which inherently shoulders have nothing sexual with them. I'm being honest with you. If you get turned on by shoulders, you should be looking inward and not calling the teenage girl you're lusting after a slut. Do men get called sluts for wearing tank tops? Well, actually some do. But just not as much. When men lose weight, it's like, oh, good for them. When women lose weight publicly, it's like, oh, finally, how did she do it? Did she do it healthfully? Did she do it unhealthily? Does she have an eating disorder? What happens? Women, their body, I think, is more of their identity than it is for men. And it depends, again, because some superheroes that are played by men, like, their body is definitely part of their character. But for instance, Adele, who I don't think ever made her body part of her identity at all, but when she lost weight a few years ago, everyone was like, oh, we lost a big queen. She looks good though. It's like, was she ever your big queen? Like, she's just been a queen. Why does her size matter? And then also same with Lizzo. Like, I think she's always been plus size, at least publicly, and she's always advocated for body positivity. But when, like, I think it was in 2020 when she literally all she talked about was like drinking smoothies or something, everyone was like, oh, is she finally losing weight? It's like, why does weight matter that much to you? She just wants to drink smoothies. If you see someone eating healthy and automatically think, oh, she's finally losing weight, you have something wrong with you in your head. And I'm not trying to diagnose you with anything, because I don't know what that'd be called. So basically, to tie this whole video together, this is what I think. I think you should be a feminist, because it doesn't mean that you're a man hater. It doesn't mean that you think women are better than men. It just means that you admit that, we live in a patriarchal society where men are being treated better than women, and that instead they should be treated equally because gender doesn't matter. You should look inward and say, what am I attacking someone because they're a woman when men do the same thing, but I'm not attacking those men that do the same thing? There's no problem being a feminist and critiquing a woman. Just make sure that you're giving the same critiquing energy to the men out there that do the same thing you're critiquing the woman for. That's basically it for this video. I didn't realize this whole time I was like scrunching in my shoulders like this. I don't know why. Yeah, I have a cough. I hope it gets better. I don't actually know any other video topics I want to cover. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments. I hope you all have a good new year 2025. Get your goals done. Drink, eat, go to the gym, work out at home, whatever. See you guys in the next video. Bye.